Meat City, baby.
Hello and welcome back to Meat City Gaming. JD here with another World of Warships Legends video, and today we're doing a torpedo tutorial. What I'm going to try and do is get kind of a broad range of topics, some simple stuff, some introductory stuff, and then a little bit of basic tactics and advanced tactics. And for those of you players who only play battleships, at the end I will have a couple of tips about how to evade torpedoes if you're one of those players who doesn't fire them, but you're constantly finding yourself dodging them. So stay tuned for that at the end of the video. The first thing you need to figure out about the torpedoes on the ship that you're using is what kind of torpedoes are they? What type of role are you supposed to play, or would you excel at playing with the torpedoes on that ship? And there's basically two flavors. There's the long-range snipers, and then there's the close-range brawlers. And how you figure out which of those two you fit into, which category of ship you have, which category of torpedoes you have, you need to look at the stats of your ship. And specifically two stats. There's the range of the torpedoes and the concealment stat for the detectability, the range at which your ship is detected on water. And if the range of your torpedoes is longer than the range at which your ship is detected, you can be a sniper. You can stay invisible. If your ship can be detected at 6 kilometers and your torpedoes have a range of 9 kilometers, you've got a 3-kilometer window that you can be in, that you can fire and have your torpedoes reach the target. If, on the other hand, your torpedoes have a 5-kilometer range and your detectability is 6 kilometers, you obviously can't fire those torpedoes without being first in the detection window of the target that you're firing at. So, generally speaking, Japanese destroyers are the sniper variety, and American destroyers are the brawler type, shorter range torpedo, and the British destroyers are kind of in the middle. So, once you've figured out which type of torpedo boat you're playing, you can then use the tactics in the next section of the video to set up your standard kind of attack runs. So first we're going to cover how to approach a sniper engagement with your torpedo. As long as you have a target selected, you'll get an aim assist on where you should fire your torpedoes. That aim assist is based on two things. The assumption that the target you're firing at will maintain the same course and will maintain the same speed. If you fire along the aim assist target and the ship that you're firing at doesn't A, change direction, B, change speed, your torpedoes will hit that target unless, of course, they hit something else along the way. So setting up a standard approach is fairly simple. You line up your target, you fire the torpedoes, and then you let them do their thing. If your target doesn't change course, you're going to hit it. And so that's a very basic approach how you can do it. You can see on the screen the target that I was shooting at never changed course, never changed speed, and my first torpedo salvo hit. If you're going against lower skill tier opponents, you're at the lower tiers of battle, there's a greater chance that your enemies aren't going to be thinking of these advanced torpedo avoidance tactics. So usually, especially in American destroyers, you're going to get 2 salvos of torpedoes. So you can aim them both at the aim assist target. You'll get maximum damage if they all hit. But you can also tweak that a little bit if you know that your target is going to be speeding up or slowing down based on the situation. If you know they're heading for an island, if you know that they're more likely to turn away from you as they detect the first targets, you can stagger your second shot. You can either aim a little bit left or a little bit right of the aim assist, and you'll have a better chance of that second salvo of torpedoes hitting your target. Some other things that you can think about in order to increase your chances of a successful torpedo strike is limiting the amount of time that your opponent has to respond to your torpedoes. They're only detectable from about 2 kilometers to 3 kilometers away. They're moving pretty quickly, and especially if you're shooting at something like a battleship, they turn slowly. They respond pretty sluggishly. They have that long rudder shift time, that long speed up and slow down time. If they're not ready to start maneuvering the second that they come into range, you're probably going to have a good chance at hitting them. But what you can do to increase your ability to hit with torpedoes is decrease the time that the enemy has to react. One way you can do that is to fire at a ship that's coming towards you. And the ship has much less time than, for instance, if they were driving away from the torpedo. Head-on shots against a battleship might not seem like a great idea. They've got a narrower profile that they're presenting, but they're going to have less time to react. And if they panic and turn, they may present a bigger profile and allow you to hit more shots with your torpedoes. Another thing you can do is look for opportune targets, targets that are in limited windows of maneuverability. If you're in broad, wide open waters, you can turn anywhere, you have the freedom of movement. If you're up against an island or between 2 islands, especially in the bigger ships, you don't really have the freedom to maneuver. So you can set your spray to cover almost the entirety of that gap in the islands, or pin them up against the island and increase your chances of getting a hit. So again, those are the tips for how to do it, and just reverse that if you want to avoid them. Don't travel in those tightly confined spaces. Don't be hugging up against an island if you don't have an escape plan. If you're driving towards where a destroyer was, know that you're going to have less time to react. And if you do see those torpedoes, think it might be better if I just keep going straight, eat that 1 or 2 torpedoes, don't turn and end up eating 3 or 4. So for our brawler type ships, what you need to do is get in close, and there's going to be almost no way for you to do this without taking some damage. And if you're in a destroyer, hit points are precious. You don't have many to spare, and you don't really have a way to heal whatever damage you take. So you need to time the approach. Remember, you're going to be spotted once you cross that detectability threshold. So time the moment that you strike. If you can stay behind an island, if you can stay just out of detection range, hopefully you're picking a target that's already engaged with somebody else. If their guns are pointed another way, it's going to take a while for them to swing towards you once they recognize the threat. And when you're closing that distance, again, the same rules as the torpedoes apply. If you're running perpendicular or head-on at your target, you're going to close much faster than if they're running away. So you need to approach quickly, get in really close, and hold those torpedoes until you get close enough where they're not going to be able to dodge it. And don't necessarily fire if you have 2 spreads, all 2 spreads, or if you have more, all 4 spreads of torpedoes at once. Stagger them. Fire the first, see what kind of adjustment that ship makes, and then fire the second. Beyond just doing damage, there are a couple of additional uses for torpedoes that you want to keep in mind. Just having your torpedoes selected and a target locked in will give you that, as I said, the aim assist. You can use that to determine the relative course and speed of ships that you otherwise can't see. You use that aim assist, you can see how much lead and in what direction the aim assist is pointing, and that will tell you what direction and a relative speed for the ship. Another thing you can do with your torpedoes is area denial. Like I said, if there's a narrow area, if you know where the enemy ships are coming from, firing torpedoes along that lane can either slow them down, or if they have to come at you from a certain direction, they're going to run right into those torpedoes. So again, if there's a cap that you're capping and there's a narrow alleyway where you know is the closest route for the enemy ships to get to you to stop that cap, go ahead and preemptively fire the torpedoes down that channel. It'll keep the enemy ships from either A, it'll slow them down, or B, they'll take some damage on their way to you, and it might give you the extra time that you need to cap. And finally, I do want to give a couple of those tips to our battleship commanders out there. Like we said, the aim assist only works if you have constant speed and constant course. At least what you can do is change your speed. That's just a couple of button taps. Every time you fire a salvo from your guns and you're waiting for that reload, drop your speed. Go from full speed to half speed, or from full speed to full reverse. Do it for 5-10 seconds or so, and then bring your speed back up again. Doing that is going to create enough of a gap. If somebody fired at you in the meantime, in that window, those torpedoes are going to be off target and they're going to miss. So change your course, change your speed, think about doing it every time you fire your guns, and that should keep you fairly safe. The second thing, as we mentioned, drive away from approaching destroyers. If a destroyer is making an attack run on you, turn away and drive away. It gives you more time to get your guns and get damage on the destroyer. When they actually fire their torpedoes, it gives you more time to react and dodge those torpedoes. And the final thing is island ambushes, right? Those are a big part of how destroyers can surprise you in a brawling fashion and hit you with a ton of damage very quickly. If you're coming around an island and there's any risk of a destroyer or a torpedo boat on the other side of that island, don't come out it at a perpendicular angle, 90 degrees on, with your broadside showing. Instead, come out at an angle, and even better, come out at an angle away from the island, actually, so that you're facing away from the island that you wanted to come around, because that, again, gives you that away profile. It makes it easier and gives you more time to react to any torpedoes that may be coming around the edge of that island. And then once you're clear of it, then you can do your full turn and give it a wide berth, and you'll know what's going on, and you'll have full tactical awareness. So I know that was a lot, but it wasn't everything, but we're trying to work within the time constraints of the 10-minute limit. So hopefully you guys found this useful. If there's anything that I missed, feel free to leave it in the comments below. This is a tutorial video, so share your knowledge, share your tips, and let's all get a little bit better at playing World of Warships Legends, and specifically with using those devastating torpedoes. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.